Hi, I've got something you'll be interested in. Those performance upgrades we discussed after the last race. They're on the car and the data looks promising. Take a look at the details.
What's going on, guys? Aarava here, and welcome back to another part of my F1 2017 career mode, part number 4, kicking things off with 2 new parts installed onto our car for aerodynamics and the chassis. We've got the rear downforce package that we bought, and also the chassis weight reduction, the first one that we bought from both areas of the tree, the aerodynamics and the chassis one. So now both those areas will kind of unlock some other ones that we can attend to. Obviously, we'll have to earn enough resource points for those, but at least we got those installed. So 2 kind of upgrades to hit us big at the Russian Grand Prix. So here's hoping, obviously, after a bit of a half performance at Bahrain, that we can kind of come back fighting here at Russia with these 2 new upgrades. But you can see nicely highlighted now as we open the R&D tree, and you can see now I can move further down the tree on that side of the aerodynamics, and then on the chassis as well. Now I can move on. I can either go, well, I can go to the middle, and basically from the middle then I can branch out to either looking at the tyre wear, looking at the roll dampers, and that may be a way to go, especially if we hit some more tyre wear in the later rounds. Obviously, so far, it's been pretty okay. But anyways, we move on to engine management. The first time we really have to think about this, you can see our engine, our internal combustion engine, a little bit worn now. It's yellow. Our gearbox is fine. Internal combustion engine, not so much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a little bit tactically. I'm actually going to keep the ICE as it is, the first one, yellow, for now, for practice. Then we're going to swap it out just before qualifying for a fresh one. But we're going to use it basically as a practice internal combustion engine, basically. So let's get into practice.
Here we are at the fascinating Sochi Autodrome in Russia for what is expected to be a compelling race weekend. Well, it all begins today with practice. Beside me to take you through free practice today is a man with 3 decades of racing experience under his belt. It is, of course, Anthony Davidson. Thanks for joining us today, Ant, and tell me, where should we be focusing our attention today?
I think we need to be looking across the entire field to see how far these cars are able to push a single set of tyres. While everyone will be trying different setups and running with different fuel loads, if you're attentive enough, you can definitely pick out trends for each type of tyre compound, which will give us a rough idea of how long the drivers are able to stay out there during a stint in the race.
So as we rapid fire through some of these practice programs, as usual, just maximum kind of just attack mode, just trying to do the most of them in 1 or 2 laps as necessary. And then we move on to a bit more of a contentious point for me around Russia was the qualifying practice program. So we start the lap here, but as we move on, just want to know, I'm pretty sure they definitely recorded that commentary, Crofty and Davidson, before the real-life Russian Grand Prix, because I don't think they would be saying the stuff they were saying right at the start if they actually had watched the real-life Grand Prix. I'm just going to take a guess there. But anyway, we move through the qualifying pace, and the reason why I say it's the kind of one program that gave me a little bit of frustration, because as we crossed the line for the first time, we did not meet the target, and I had to go and do a bit of setup work then and try and just work on really driving around Russia. It took me a while to get kind of used to it, especially in some of these brake zones, just trying to straighten up the car. I was kind of squirming a little bit there, so we'll see how we go through that towards the end of this kind of second attempt, basically. And the target is, I think P13, I think that was. So let's see if we can try and get that, and hopefully I'll be aiming for a little bit higher, honestly, for the grid after what were kind of nightmares we had in Bahrain. We crossed the line. We do, in fact, get the target eventually there, and so hopefully we can get that. But as we move through, the first time I've seen this is the core competency progress. I was wondering when it would come up, really, because it's something that you can't kind of earn through the practice programs. It's something, well, technically it's kind of via the practice programs, but if you know what I mean, you're earning these core competencies whilst you do programs. So it's not something you're actively working on, but it's something that you get rewarded for as you progress and as you basically play the game. So you can see now my engineering staff can have more simultaneous parts being built at the same time. So now you know how it took us till round 4 now to get these 2 upgrades that we got previously, the weight reduction 1 and the rear main plane downforce. Now I can hopefully get 2 upgrades at the same time working, and it'll come to me a bit faster. Speaking of new upgrades, we're going to go on for another weight reduction upgrade there. So that's going to take, I think that was 2 weeks there. So that's going to be a wait time there. But you can see now it's time to change our internal combustion engine. You can see also the MGU-H is also a little bit worn, but I think I'm just going to leave the MGU-H as is because the percentage is not too high. So I'll leave that there, but we've changed the internal combustion engine ahead of qualifying. Let's get into it.
Welcome F1 fans, where qualifying will be starting in the next few minutes as the teams prepare to get out on track at the Sochi Autodrome here in Russia. This is the kind of track that eats rear tyres for breakfast, or so I'm told by more experienced drivers than myself.
Well, tyre management is key here, specifically the rears. It's all too easy to overheat and wear the rear tyres as they're punished out of the low-speed corners. Most teams won't be able to avoid some kind of issue here, especially the teams that are running less downforce.
So getting straight into our first flying lap here, very overcast conditions, so that may make the track a little bit colder, a little bit tricky, and that definitely is the case as we go into turn 1. Rapidly changing down the gears, we can see really sliding out off circuit a little bit, and pretty much that's that lap pretty much aborted. Pretty much I kind of gave up halfway through it, and so you can see we're coming through to the end of that first lap, and I'm just taking it nice and easy, and pretty much I've just taken that as basically a warm-up lap almost, and now this is the lap where we're actually going to do the business and pop in the lap time. So that first lap time a bit redundant as we got it all wrong into turn 1. So now I kind of sussed it out, kind of just went a bit too deep and probably changed gears down a bit too fast. So now once again for the second time now, this time we'll brake a little bit early, a bit sharper into turn 1, and that is much better. I say turn 1, technically it's turn 2, but I will never and never accept that turn 1 is actually a turn. It basically isn't. It's just a little kink basically on a straight. So turn 2, turn 1, however you want to say it, but as you can see on the delta time, so much better than the first lap that we tried. We crossed the line. At the moment it's P7 ahead of Lance Stroll behind Max Verstappen, and then later, right at the death of the session, we are going to take a second or technically third flying lap, our second proper actual fast lap now. At the moment we're in P11 now, still behind Kevin Magnussen, still ahead of Lance Stroll I should say, but now behind Kevin Magnussen. So the Haas car, at least one Haas car, doing better than us at the moment. I'm not too sure where Carlos is in all of this, but we're going to come through the final few turns nice and easy, not going too wide, and then just going as tight as we can to the apex across the line, and it is going to be, I couldn't quite tell there on the top left, so what is it going to be in the pop-up now? P8. That's pretty decent, pretty damn decent. Doesn't equal our best qualifying position so far of this season, but P8, very, very solid there. You can see our teammate in 15th place, Carlos Sainz, so very, very good. We've had a lot more pace than Carlos this entire weekend, it looks like, especially in qualifying, to be ahead of both Force India cars, which is very, very positive considering the long back straight and main straight. So looking forward to the race then. Hopefully it's not too boring.
This was a circuit that I think in its inaugural race got off to a bit of a shaky start, but since then it's really drawn the fans in and become a very popular event. What do you think changed?
But this just goes to show the importance of fixing problems as and when you discover them. As a complete unknown quantity in 2014, the tyre choice was quite conservative, which didn't really allow much in terms of different strategy options. So it was pretty much as you were from lights to flag. But that was a great learning experience, and we came back the next year and had a really exciting Grand Prix, with battles for the podium going on all the way to the final lap. So hopefully we'll be treated to more of the same this year.
Well then, after an exciting qualifying session yesterday, let's take a look at how the cars line up. Sebastian Vettel has a clear track ahead of him today. He starts in pole position, and Valtteri Bottas will line up alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Raikkonen, Daniel Ricciardo, and Massa, Grosjean, and a Toro Rosso, Ocon, and Sergio Perez, Magnussen, Stroll, Jolyon Palmer, and Hülkenberg, Sainz, Alonso, Stoffel Van Dorn, and Pascal Wehrlein, Ericsson, and Max Verstappen completes the grid. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Right, so let's get into this race then. Looking straight into the race strategy, it's going to be a one-stop or a two-stop. Probably for us, it's going to be just the bog standard one-stop ultra softs, then onto a set of super soft tyres. Obviously, we have to start on the set of ultra soft tyres because that's what we qualified in. Into the top 10, you have to start on the qualifying tyre. So we're going to underfuel the car a little bit, but not too much, and that's how we're going to do things. So hopefully a bit of a straightforward race, but hopefully an exciting one, and unlike the real-life Grand Prix. So we go to 5 red lights to the Russian Grand Prix, and we're underway from P8 on the grid. It's not a great start for us. It's an absolutely fantastic one, though, for a Romain Grosjean. Nearly 4 wide there with Felipe Massa. Daniel Ricciardo bogging down. Obviously, his teammate Max Verstappen starting from the back of the grid here, and they go 3 wide. The Ferrari and the 2 Mercedes cars. Massa trying to get in there into turn 1. That's not going to end well. We're going around the outside of the Force India car, and Massa's round. Massa's off into the wall, I think. I don't think he's crashed out of the Grand Prix, but yellow flags for sure. And so we find ourselves back down to P8, initially trying to overtake Ocon into turn 1 or turn 2, technically, again, goddammit. And now we find ourselves in a Force India sandwich. Once again, we're getting very, very familiar with the Force India cars this season so far in the opening 4 rounds. And you can see darting, closing up on Ocon as he gets brake checked a little bit by Daniel Ricciardo. But generally, you can see all nose to tail at the moment, apart from the first top cars. But we're going to look at a replay now of Felipe Massa and what happened to him, because he got sent straight off towards the wall. I don't think he actually hit the wall, but I think it was a pretty bad place to spin it. So he just tries to go 4 wide or 3 wide, where it just wasn't necessary. That was never going to work. That was always going to be a gap that was closing, and Massa does lose a bit of his front wing end plate there on the right-hand side. But at least for his sake, it's not completely out of the race for him, at least. So now we move on to the end of lap 3. You can see getting a bit of a gap to Ocon. So these guys are getting away from us a little bit, and yellow flags behind us as we're being chased down by Sergio Perez. And actually going to be for our teammate. He's slowing down with issues, and then he gets hit by the Sauber car and the Renault, and he's spewed off towards the wall, and he just stops right there. I think he already had a car issue, and then they just added more to his misery that afternoon by punting him off and breaking a bit of his car and his front wing there. So he's out of this Grand Prix. So once again, I am the sole Toro Rosso man flying the flag to try and get us points here in the team as we go side by side and defending from Sergio Perez. As at the moment you can see on the mini-map and just ahead of us, I can't see Ocon's rear end, and him and that entire train of the Red Bull cars and also the Haas of Romain Grosjean, remember, they're getting away from me. I think at the moment Grosjean's actually ahead of both Ricciardo and Hamilton, so I think Grosjean is training those guys, but all 4 of them are getting away from us as we move on to lap 5, and once again going defensive, this time to the inside of turn 2 rather than the outside there, and Perez actually swings it around the outside, so it looks like the outside is actually the better line there as Perez gets the momentum, although swooping through turn 3, can we try and get enough slipstream? Doesn't look like it. I don't think it'll be a very audacious move. I made a pop here where famously obviously Raikkonen made that last minute lunge on Valtteri Bottas. So right now at the moment struggling for a bit of pace in these opening few laps of the Grand Prix, especially down that back straight through that final corner. The AI just seemed to have some very, very good traction and exit compared to me, but down the back straight actually different story with DRS wide open. We are closing up on Perez. I tried to maybe have a little look and a lunge, but Perez closes the door, slams shut there, just like he and other cars were doing back in Australia, if you remember, into I think it was turn 3. So yeah, so far so good for Perez in terms of his defensive driving. But once again we'll have another pop on the very next lap, lap 6. Once again down the back straight, same place, DRS wide open this time. Looks like we're a little bit closer, so I think I'll try a better lunge down the inside. This time we definitely can maybe try and outbrake him. So we go down the inside, very, very close enough. He gives us the room, thankfully, and we're going to try and stick it around the outside, which is always a difficult place, but we've actually made it work. A little bit of contact there, argy-bargy stuff, getting the elbows out. Perez still on the inside. He's going to have the better line off camber corner there for me, and then he cuts us off at the apex. A little bit of contact's made. He's off circuit, and it's all getting a little bit feisty and a little bit frosty between me and Checo. I mean, we've seen so much of him and his team Esteban so many times so far this season. It really hasn't. It's been the team that I didn't think I was going to be fighting all season long. I really thought it was going to be Renault or Haas, but it's really been Force India most of the time, actually, even though Force India are kind of technically whooping us in terms of the points, because Carlos just hasn't been there backing me up like Esteban and Perez have a bit between them this season. So I'm a little bit weird there, and a bit of a sticking point here, looking back at the back of another Force India once again for like the 5th billionth time, and it's only part 4 of the career mode. So now we move on to lap 8, and once again down the back straight, you can see I'm getting such a good run off that corner, climb up the gears now, and it looks like maybe Perez, I'm not too sure, maybe he's just in lean or standard this part of the circuit, and maybe he's using rich out the final corner, but this time we go around the outside this time, opt for the outside line, and that will turn to the inside, remember, for the next part of the corner. So although we go a little bit deep, Perez does squeeze us, but look at this, lovely stuff, down the inside then for the next part, and that's why I went around the outside that time, and that worked a lot better. And so into the chicane, we're up into P6, and so now we smoothly transition to the very next lap, and now you can see I've got my heads-up display to check my engine wear. At the moment you can see the MGU-H taking a bit of a battering, as well as a few other components there, but mostly green, but you can see the engine wear is definitely coming in, and maybe that is affecting things out of that final corner perhaps. Maybe the turbo, the MGU-H, obviously that's part of the turbo compression, maybe just not working as well through that final corner. I'm not too sure. We'll just have to kind of see later, maybe in the data in the laptop there, and kind of read around and see what may be causing the issue, or maybe what's going to be the effect of that MGU-H being a little bit warm. But we come into the pits now for our one and only pit stop. You can see Ocon there making the pit stop. You've got Max Verstappen, that is in the Red Bull car. That's his Red Bull there in the background there. So obviously Verstappen, again, just like Ricciardo did in the Chinese Grand Prix, I think it was, starting from the back of the grid, which I'm not sure why actually both times. I'm assuming it was maybe for a penalty. Maybe they changed a part on their engine that they couldn't afford to. Maybe they did too many changes between practice to qualify. qualifying to the race. I'm not too sure, but again, a Red Bull car starting from the back of the grid, trying to make their way back through. And to be fair to Verstappen, at the moment, we were fighting for P6 with Perez, and he's now right behind me. And now you can see Perez is ahead of us now. Perez did pit earlier than I did. I think he pit on lap, what was it, like 10 or something like that, and I pit on lap 11 as we came out on lap 12. So now we're trying to chase down Perez, but you can see now onto lap 13, Verstappen getting right up to my gearbox. And so I'm thinking, just like before, maybe I played this a little bit tactically. Now, I know it didn't work necessarily in Bahrain, but I'm a lot more confident this time it will do. We're going to let Verstappen through. He's the senior guy in the senior team, so also that may help our relationship with Helmut Marko, but I'm going to try and use Verstappen as a bit of a toe and a pull, because obviously at Bahrain, I let a Williams car through. Obviously, the Williams car is great in a straight line, whereas the Red Bull car, it's got the same engine as me, so it should be the same thing. Really, honestly, I just need to try and do the best job I can in the corners, and that will hopefully pull me along. So we move to lap 17 now, so that's 5 laps later, and it's working, because you can see there is Perez. We weren't this close to Perez before, but now we are, and Verstappen just happens to be in the middle of us. But yeah, I've just used him as a bit of a toe, basically. Every single lap now, we've been getting DRS. I've been saving a bit of fuel, actually, because we underfueled our car, remember, at the start of the Grand Prix. So we've got some decent amount of fuel now on standard mixture, and so we can use some rich to maybe overtake Perez once Verstappen makes a move on Perez. So now we move on to lap 18, same place as the previous lap on the back straight. This time Verstappen so much closer. We've got DRS though, and surely this will be it. Come on, Verstappen, make the move down the inside, or around the outside actually. He's going to go for the same sort of move I maybe tried to make. Perez will come back at him though and go down the inside, and we come in like an absolute torpedo though, a little bit too hot there, and we go off circuit, a little bit too wide. Got a little bit excited, I think, trying to maybe overtake Perez if we could, and Perez has actually done it brilliantly to go round the outside of Verstappen in the Force India via the Red Bull car. Surely the Red Bull has the downforce. Perez goes very, very harsh on Verstappen, kind of forced him a little bit wide. A few tyres have made contact there, and they're still side by side through this entire section. That's absolutely awesome. This has been definitely a more exciting Russian Grand Prix than the real-life counterpart from 2017, and so Verstappen's still stuck behind Perez, and now maybe we could have a pop with DRS. I'm not too sure. Looks like we'll have the speed here. Here we go. Verstappen has DRS as well, so as we close up, we're actually going to close in. I could technically make a move, but I'm going to lift off a little bit, brake a little bit early. I'm going to sit back once again and see if Verstappen can make the move on Perez and actually make it stick so we can get Perez, because, you know, I'm not too sure. I don't want to hamper Verstappen if it's going to mean if I can't overtake Perez, if you know what I'm saying. And so we move on to lap 20 with 7 laps to go. Verstappen, a similar move he tries to make. This time we don't get it deep into the corner. We're still on track here. Perez once again round the outside, but this time looks like maybe Verstappen has a better line. I'm going to take a bit of an interesting line to the inside there. I'm just dodging and darting. I'm trying to suss out where I could go, try and find some space to kind of get in the middle of these two and kind of nick a place off Perez if I can. And it looks like Verstappen may just about has this as Raikkonen sets the fast lap of the Grand Prix. There you go. Oh no! Oh, Perez! Oh, what a move by Perez! Perez is sending down the inside. He forced Verstappen wide, and that made Verstappen basically brake check me in the middle of the apex there. I was almost going to try the move round the outside of the second last corner on Perez, but Perez brilliantly and cleverly has just managed to force Verstappen's hand and basically made Verstappen defend from me. And so now, as we go into turn 2 on lap 21, I'm just going to go for it. I need to try and overtake Verstappen. I mean, I'm sorry, mate, but it looks like you just can't make the move done. We tried to have a pop, doesn't work round the outside. But now I'm starting to think that we really do need to overtake Verstappen first and then try and overtake Perez ourselves.
Some information on Verstappen. They're slowing down. It seems like there's some kind of problem with their car.
And now from that radio call, looks like Verstappen has issues, so we really definitely need to overtake him now. So we go through the corner on towards the back straight, DRS wide open, and Verstappen definitely has issues. Look at how much speed we're getting on him. He's going very slow down this back straight. I'm not too sure if it's an engine problem, probably is by the looks of it, because he's going very, very slowly there. And so we overtake Max. Didn't think something I would be saying. We overtook a Red Bull car there, fair and square, and we're up into P9 now, chasing after Sergio Perez. You can see on the minimap the gap to Verstappen now on the minimap, so he's had huge issues. So it was very, very good that I overtook him and I got that radio call from my engineer. So now we move on to lap 23, 4 laps to go, and we have closed up on Perez now into this very heavy braking zone once again, but this time not trying to make any sort of move, just trying to close up on Perez through the final few corners of sector 3, and we can see maybe we can try and make a move on the back straight. All race long I've been pretty poor through the final corner, but I feel like we can try and get him now. We've got fuel to also burn. You can see going a little bit wayward, so opposite lock there through that corner, and then through to the last 2 corners though. Can we make it a little bit better in 4th 4th gear, should try and chuck the car into the final one, try and take as much curbing as we can, but not too much, obviously, to cut the corner. And now we're going to go up into rich mix. We're going to have DRS. We've got the slipstream now, and it looks like for once in this race, we've actually got a very good exit off that final corner. So here we go. Slipstream Perez. We're going to move to the right-hand side. Yeah, we fake to the left, move to the right, little shimmy and shake, shake and bake down the inside to turn 2. Big lock up on the right front, but we do crucially get the move done, and we're up the order into P8 finally. Finally, we're overtaking Perez. It's been like the entire race coming, basically. But it's not over yet because Perez is going to come back at us. So we've got some defending to do now on lap 24. He's got DRS wide open. Sends it around the outside. We'll have the inside line for the next corner, which will turn to the outside. But I'm confident we can try and get him. Squeeze him as much as we can to the left-hand side. Swing around the outside. Leaving the room, of course. You can see looking back behind us. No issues there. We have left in the room and we have successfully defended for now for P8. And it looks like that definitely will be the max position we can get. Because looking at the mini-map, Grosjean is a bit too far away. And now to lap 25. Once again into turn 2, he makes a pop, and this time though it's a little bit more successful, and we go, our tyres nearly connect there a little bit squeamish there to watch, but now we go swinging round the outside. Lovely camera shot of turn 3 down the inside. This is going to be close. A little bit of contact there's made there, but it's all good stuff. It's just a racing incident. We're still going hammer and tong. We've just about got that and kept ahead there, but me and Perez are really going for it. This is a really good scrap here at Russia. Definitely not anything you've seen in real life from the 2017 Russian Grand Prix. And into turn 2 now on lap 26. I've locked up horribly. We've only got 2 laps to go. And Perez is going to try and send it down my inside on turn 3. I've not had the best exit off turn 2. Verstappen's also there. All this fighting has meant that Verstappen and Magnussen is close right up. We're going to send it once again down the inside of turn 4. A little bit of contacts made once again, screaming on the exit. But now as we come through the kind of overhead shot, you can see Verstappen also getting in the mix. We defend a little bit from Perez, go across the curbing, and we've just about made it and kept 8th place there through the final corner. What an ending to the Russian Grand Prix. What a fight. Such a hard-fought fight for what is only P8 really in reality. But wow.
A great win then for the Mercedes team today. Anthony, what do you think made the difference here?
Well, I think the track conditions just really suited their car today. Wind, track temperature, you name it. These cars come alive when the tyres are just at the right temperature. So the more easily you can keep them there, the better your race tends to go. And that's exactly what happened. Their car just looks so comfortable out there.
So as I say that, we can see the drivers coming out now to collect their trophies. It's yet more silverware to take back to their base in Brackley after another excellent Grand Prix.
That was a very intense Russian Grand Prix. Very intense indeed. And as I said earlier, we're the sole Toro Rosso scoring the points or even finishing the race there. So decent stuff for us. Good team objective there. Beat the teammate, obviously. And we also beat Perez after basically an entire race fighting him there. And the reputation level goes up. Resource points earned. So all in all, a really great episode, actually. Really good. Even though it's just P8, it is just P8. But it's a very successful episode, I think, all round, really. Ticking all the boxes. So guys, if you have enjoyed it, smash that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, then do get subscribed for more F1 2017 gameplay videos. There will be another career mode episode out tomorrow, guys, the Spanish Grand Prix, and also an online video. So stay tuned for that. Those will be the 2 videos out tomorrow on Wednesday. So get subscribed for that if you are new around here. Hope you guys have enjoyed this one. Once again, hit that like button, smash it for me, and I'll see you guys next time. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.